Hi and welcome back to day 4 of 12 Days of Anime 2018. Today we're going to talk about a manga called Eden's Zero. Now, obviously, since it's a manga, I'm going to give you the official manga spoiler warning. However, this doesn't really have an anime, so you can't really be an anime only, meaning that you either haven't checked this out at all or you're reading the manga, quite simply. Okay, so let's get into this topic because I wanted to talk about this manga mostly because it is the follow-up work of a mangaka that a lot of people know very well, Hiro Mashima, the creator of Fairy Tail and Rave Master. A lot of people had some big doubts when this new manga started out, Eden's Zero, mostly because the first glimpse we got of it was some character designs which resembled characters from Fairy Tail a lot. It really almost seemed like he was copying his old character designs and putting new personalities onto them, which obviously caused quite a bit of commotion in the anime sort of community, especially among people who had read Fairy Tail and knew exactly, what kind of ending Fairy Tail received. It wasn't really that great. However, as the saying goes, never judge a book by its cover. You should never really look at the character designs and just automatically assume that it's gonna be terrible, because it may actually be a lot better. He may learn from his mistakes. That said, doesn't mean he's gonna learn. I mean, there's always that chance, he's gonna do the same mistakes all over again, but then he may actually surprise the audience and actually make something very enjoyable. For me personally, Fairy Tail wasn't actually that bad. I know a lot of people think it was, but to me Fairy Tail was actually quite enjoyable. I never really read or watched Fairy Tail, simply because it was well written, because I think if I did, I would have dropped it a lot sooner. But instead I actually followed it all the way through. I did watch the anime all the way through. I read the manga until the manga ended, and now I'm even watching the new season of Fairy Tail, because while it's true I know exactly what's gonna happen, I know where to be disappointed most likely, unless they change things up quite aggressively, which I seriously don't think they will. But the point I'm trying to make, of course, is that Eden's Zero should definitely not be automatically thrown into the bin just because of who is writing and drawing this series. And I think that's quite important. And looking at the chapters we have so far in Eden's Zero, it's not really that bad in my opinion. I quite like it so far, mostly because it's basically Fairy Tail only in space. And I really do like the idea of a sci-fi sort of series, because I haven't really read a lot of space-based sci-fi mangas that touch on the topic of sort of battle shonen, I mean, obviously I've seen a lot of mech animes which touch on the topic of space that are really action based. Like, obviously Darling in the Franxx had some elements of that towards the end, and there are a lot of similar series like that. And then there are animes and mangas that aren't necessarily mech animes, that just sort of have a really big space theme to them. Eden Zero, however, you wouldn't really see a big spaceship battle most likely, at least not yet. I mean, it's a very young series, it has about 20 odd chapters. I'm not quite sure exactly what chapter is on right now, because I don't really read the series week to week, mostly because I read a lot of other stuff week to week, and I really don't want to push myself to reading too many mangas every single week. So this one I'm kind of like waiting a few weeks every time until I catch up to it. But yeah, it's around 20-ish chapters, and which is fine. I mean, you gotta start somewhere, and a lot of series actually do attract quite an audience early on, and I think Eden Zero is really getting there because, first of all, obviously Hiro Mashima, he has quite a kickstart due to the fact that he had his popular series Fairy Tail. A lot of people have high expectations from him. If you liked Fairy Tail, if you didn't like Fairy Tail, you're probably gonna go into Eden Zero with some kind of doubt, as I said. A lot of people certainly did. But me, I'm really enjoying Eden Zero so far, because while it's true it's not the most original work I've seen around, it has some really generic elements to it. It has some really cool elements as well, though. Like, it has a very interesting theme to it if you look past, what this series is actually about. I mean, the series is really an adventure as far as people are concerned. Fairy Tail wasn't really that much of an adventure on the same scale as I think this series will be, because this series seems to be focusing around finding something very specific, something along the lines of One Piece. They want to find a One Piece. In this case, they want to find and get to Mother, who is somewhere in space. They don't really know where, because a lot of people have been trying to find her. They haven't found her. There's someone, though, that's rumored to have found her, but he's not really around anymore. So that's the big difference between Fairy Tail and Eden Zero, I believe, if you look past the whole magic and stuff, because this isn't really a fantasy series. It's very much a sci-fi series, but it is still a battle shonen, so it has a very similar style to it. And obviously the character designs are very similar, so if you watched or read Fairy Tail, you're going to feel very much at home indeed. Now, the main girl of Eden Zero is something that I really want to talk about before I end off this video, because she is definitely an improvement when comparing her to Lucy, who was in Fairy Tail. I never liked Lucy at all. I think Lucy, while it's true she was really good to look at, and she had some moments, don't get me wrong. She definitely had a few moments where you could really compliment her on what she did and stuff like that. But as a character, looking at the bigger picture, she wasn't really that great in my opinion. I know a lot of people agree, some will disagree for sure, but Rebecca, she is a lot better in my opinion. She's showing right off the bat that she is capable of helping out Shiki on a completely different level from what Lucy was really helping Natsu with. At the beginning of Fairy Tail, we see how Lucy's more of a bystander really than actually helping out on the grand scale, whereas in Eden Zero, Rebecca is actually giving proper assistance to Shiki in her own way. I mean, she is actually very much a fighter indeed, as well as as they call it, a beekeeper, which, you could just call a YouTuber really, but I guess that's their version of it. We don't have a Whack Donald's, we don't have a whatever ripoff, we have a beekeeper over YouTuber going on in this series. But apart from that, she actually has means of fighting alongside Shiki with the help of her companion, who is also, much like from Fairy Tail, Happy. The same cat, well, not the same cat, an identical cat with the same name. Anyway, that's been day 4 of 12 days of anime. I really hope you liked this video. I just wanted to talk about Eden Zero because, like I kind of pointed out, I didn't really have a problem with Fairy Tail, and now that Eden Zero has started, I am reading that in my own time. I'm not really reading it every week, as again I said, but if you're an avid fan of Fairy Tail and haven't checked Eden Zero out, I would definitely recommend you do, because it is a great manga. I mean, for its age, it's very young again. It could really go either way. It could either improve massively, or it could decline, or just sort of stay where it is. So I guess there really are 3 options as to what could happen with this series. Either it's gonna derail really hard, or it's going to be something that is going to be very enjoyable for the foreseeable future. Anyway, with that said, be sure to Detroit smash that like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. This has been Chaotic Plus, and don't forget to check out day 5 of 12 days of anime tomorrow.